Hey, before we get started on today's episode, we have a quick disclaimer for you. Constable Bean is a little rowdy, and there might be a bit of cursing involved throughout our episodes. We are all about sharing authentic well being journeys, even if they're not always pretty, because, it'd be like that sometimes. So we want you to feel super comfortable and respected while you're tuning into our podcast. So if you're easily offended by colorful language. That was a great way of putting it. Great job, Jade. This podcast might not be for you, and that is okay. But we wish you well always. Now, let's jump into today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Constable Being the podcast where the intention is well. My name is Jade.
And I'm Aileen.
And we're your hosts for today's episode. Welcome back. If you're new, hey, we are going to start off. We're bringing it full circle. We're going to start off with one of our moments. So we're going to mix and match. So I'm going to do my fail moment. Aileen's going to do her grateful moment. Who wants to go first, me or you?
You go first because
Okay.
you're way too excited to share the
No, because
fail
it is the
moment.
biggest fail, bro. Like, it is the biggest fail. All right, here we go. Okay, so we know that I'm into sound bowls. Yes, we all.
Yes.
Okay, and also I have all the sound bowls set up for the next episode so that I can go over, if you want to do that today, how to do sound bowls and all that
I
stuff.
feel
Anyways,
like it's like a sign. Well, I'll get
yes.
into it later, so I think we
Okay.
should do it.
Okay, love it. All right, so this morning I had a presentation at work, right? And first of all, I did not find out about this presentation until 2 days ago. All right, so, and the only reason that I found out about it was because some girl in the chat was like, hey, are we doing this presentation on Thursday morning? Mind you, it's Tuesday. They put together the slide deck. And on Wednesday, I get everyone's talking about it in the group chat, and they're like, oh, the presentation, da da da. And I was like, wait, oh God, I have to present. And I don't love presenting. It's just a public speaking thing. I don't know. I'm good at it. I just don't it's just the buildup to knowing that I have to talk in front of people that gets me anxious. But, that's a very common fear for people. Anyways, and so usually when I do a presentation, because I'm the ergo person, I have created this, I call it a human moment, where we all take time to do stretches and take care of ourselves and have a moment of just do something nice for yourself. It really was created because I was trying to stretch out my time for the first presentation that I had to do, and I was like, I'm gonna make everyone do stretches that'll take up 5 minutes. Great idea. It stuck, unfortunately. And now every time I do a presentation, people are like, and Jade's here, and now we're gonna stretch. So all right, so this presentation pops up. Mind you, I was not planning on doing stretches or anything. I was just trying to do the presentation and be done. I had one slide, that's all I had to do, right? This morning I wake up, I'm like, okay, let me just run through the presentation really fast, make sure I know what I'm talking about. And it is at 8 a.m. The presentation is at 8 a.m. So it is at 7:45 that I open up my computer. I'm like, all right, let me get my life together. And I see everyone chatting because everyone is also trying to get their lives together before the presentation. And my coworker was like, hey, Jade, do you want to add in a stretching thing or whatever, one of your stretches? And I was like, oh, I knew it, but I was trying to avoid it. You know what I'm saying? Because I just didn't want to do it. It didn't feel like it was the right moment for me to do it. Anyways, so I'm like, sure. I still have a couple stretches in my back pocket this moment. Sure, I can do a couple stretches for you guys. And it is 7:55. We're all on the call preparing for everyone to enter into the Zoom. And the same coworker, this is the only coworker that knows about the sound bowls and stuff like that. He's the only one that I told about and it wasn't even that much detail. I was just I got really into sound bowls when I was in Bali, and I bought a couple sound bowls. That's really all I told him. And he was like, Jade, do you want to start off with some sound bowls and then lead into the stretches? I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's 7:55 in the morning and you're just coming up. How do you have all these ideas? And I was just like, and I was like, I'm not going to do a sound bowl situation with you guys because it's just, I'm not sharing. right now. Like I'm just not in a place to do that. But I do have a bell, like, and it usually you hit the bell like at the beginning of the practice of a yoga practice or like at the beginning of a sound bath, and it's supposed to like awaken you, right? And like give you
Mhm.
energy. And so I was like, okay, I can hit the bell and then I'll lead into stretches, right? I'm like, that'll be a nice little, just one bell, not too much, presentation starts and my Wi-Fi is going in and out. And I'm like, bro, how am I
You're like,
supposed
"Why?"
to lead in these stretches? So I was like, whatever, I'm gonna go downstairs because we have a co-working office downstairs. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go downstairs, grab an office, and do it from downstairs. Get downstairs. This is, mind you, the presentation has already started. Okay. It's like 8:12 at this point. They've already done introductions, everything. And I'm like, writing in the group chat, I'm like, my Wi-Fi went out. I'm gonna go downstairs really fast. Like, if my turn pops up, just skip me and we'll come back, basically. So I run downstairs
Mhm.
to the co-working office and I'm like, okay, you gotta get on your Zoom. So I open Zoom, Zoom's not opening. I'm down there for like 5 minutes. I gotta go back upstairs because Zoom's not opening downstairs. So I run back upstairs and I'm like, hopefully the Wi-Fi is working up here. Get back upstairs right in time for them to be like, and now Jade. And I was like, fabulous. Okay, great, great, great. So I'm like, be calm, Jade. We're cute, right? Like, you got it, you got it, you got it. And I'm like, hey guys, we're as I typically do, we're gonna start off with a couple stretches. Lately I've been into like sounds and stuff like that. So we're gonna start off with like a nice like sound, a bell or whatever, and it'll awaken you.
Mhm.
Or like if it's the middle of your day, it'll be a nice little like, coffee boost, if you will, right? Hit the little bell, thought I did so great, did my little stretches or whatever, did my little presentation, thought I killed it, right? I was like, I know that's right, girl. Killed it. And then I was meeting work friends and I was like, oh yeah, like the bell is still here. So I like hit the bell or whatever. It was just, just a little chit chat. And she was like, oh yeah, I couldn't even hear the bell during the presentation. I said, excuse me? She was like, yeah, no, you hit the bell. We heard nothing. I said, why are you just telling me this right now at 2:30 in the afternoon? I made it my entire day. I honestly, I was like, that is the biggest fail of my entire life. This is why. This is why I don't do things. I was like, see, I didn't even need to do all that. And literally, I hit the bell and I was like, okay, like, give it a second, like, let it wash over you.
Mhm.
They heard nothing. These people think I'm delusional. They're like, what is she talking about? They're like, she was like, it's just such a high frequency. No one heard anything. I was like, I'm never doing anything nice for you guys ever again. I'm not doing this. I was like, do you see? Do you see? Do you see if that I was so mad. I was just like, you know what, Jade? Now we know we will not be doing any type of sound situations virtually, which is honestly something that the person that taught me sound bowls said. He was like, you know what? Honestly, I prefer in person because I just feel like the sound doesn't transfer that well over technology. And I was like, oh, okay. So that is my film moment. I tried to incorporate sound into my meetings, trying to be a nice little, like, go with the flow girly. Backfired. I look
Mhm.
crazy. That's it. That's all.
It's okay. It happens.
That's the
It
story.
happens.
I was just like, I was like, when were you guys going to tell me? You know what I'm saying? Like, when was I going to? You guys were just gonna let me. And so, like, the thing is, I put it in the group chat afterwards because I was like, um, you know, my coworker just told me that you guys couldn't hear the sound bells this morning. I'm like shocked. And everyone was like, yeah. And I was like, you bitches. All of you guys didn't hear anything. And none of you guys were just like, Jade, we didn't hear anything. I hate you guys. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It happens. It happens.
It
Don't worry.
does. It does. One person was like, I thought I heard something, but also I'm on a bunch of cough medicine. I was like, that's real. But, I tried. I tried to
That's all
share
that matters.
my sounds with them and it didn't work. And that's okay. But at least I didn't run away from the opportunity to share my sound with people. So that's that,
There
you
you
know,
go.
that's the bright side. I'm proud of myself because I really could have been like, no, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not doing the stretches because it's 5 minutes before. I'm not doing the sounds because I don't want to. I'm literally just here to do my presentation. I'm just here so I don't get fired. Like, that's it. I didn't say that. Okay. So I still tried. And that is my film moment. Thank you so much. What is your moment, Aileen?
My grateful moment is I'm grateful to I guess, for being able to go home tomorrow, finally, after 2 weeks of traveling for work. I get to go home to my house with my comfy bed and my dog and my family instead of being in hotel rooms and in the heat for the past 2 weeks. Listen, I don't know how people, God bless all the people who live in Texas.
Mm.
I don't know how you do it because I'm not prepared. I come here, it's hot, which is fine. I'm like, I can deal with the heat. It's fine. I'll make it work. But today, I was at a conference, right? This week. So I'm still in Texas for the conference. And I'm out here minding my own business. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and we're going to explore these caverns that are here. And I was like, it'll be cool. We can go. I've never been there. Cool. So we go. It's a beautiful day. It's not too hot. I'm like, wow, it's going to be a lovely day here. Love it. We go inside. We go on this tour of the caverns. We come out of the caverns. It's pouring rain.
Ooh.
And I was like, what's up with this weather? I was soaked, Jade. It looked like I got into the shower and with all
No
my clothes
umbrella.
on. No, nothing. I didn't know it was supposed to rain. And then everyone's like, you're in Texas. You need to take a sweater and umbrella everywhere you go.
Why would
I
you
said,
ever know that? Who knows that?
ex-
All I know is a cowboy hat.
apparently,
That's
ex- apparently they announce it. And I just had no freaking idea. So here I am, soaking wet. Like people, I'm like, whatever, I gotta get out of here. So it was wild. So I'm very grateful that I finally get to go home and see my family and my dog. And, it's just like another vibe once you get at home. So it's all good.
how long are you going to be home when you get home? Or are you like traveling
Oh,
again?
I'm hoping I'm going to be home for 2 months.
Oh, that's good. That's a long time.
Yeah. So I am the worst, Jade, sometimes. But sometimes I feel like the sites I support need to kind of get like their footing.
Hmm.
And especially like I can't be there all the time. Like if they need support, they need to reach out to me, but they also need to kind of learn how to stand up on their 2 feet. So I'm gonna give them a little bit of a break. I'm gonna set up virtual meetings and stuff with them. And I need to catch up on a whole bunch of stuff that I have because I've noticed like when I travel to the sites, like I want to give them my undivided attention. And like I
Yes.
spend so much time with them that when it comes down to it, like I I like get backed up on everything else I need to do. And so I'm hoping that if I'm home for like these 2 months that I can catch up and I'll be golden.
I think you
So
will. 2 months, that's a good, you could get back into your routine.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I hope
remind
so.
me, I want to have a conversation about like morning routines and night routines and stuff like that because that has been like really heavy on my mind. So, yeah, let's put a pin in that one. But I feel like getting
Okay.
back to your routine and stuff like that and,
Oh yeah, it's
being
the
in a
best.
familiar place is so nice. How long does it normally take you to get back onto your routine?
It it takes me, it depends on how long I've traveled for, but I think the normal routine is fine. I'm just kind of tired from the traveling.
Mhm.
So it's like, and then like I miss things. So like I get back on a Friday and it's like Saturday, it's like my everything is booked. So I already know I won't be like settled until midweek because I get there Friday, Saturday, like in the evening, I'm getting together with my cousins to plan my other cousin's baby shower. Then Sunday, we're going to celebrate Father's Day early because my brother will be gone the following weekend. And then on Monday, I have to be in the office, right? So I'm just like, oh, yeah, yeah, it's like
You
so
just
much.
reminded me that Father's Day is coming up and I left together so fast.
You better get Milton a bomb
I
gift,
know.
okay?
I know.
It's
I
gonna be
totally
like, what the
forgot.
heck? Well, good thing I
No.
reminded
No,
you.
literally.
Everyone, listen, if you have a dad, get him something
Yeah, I need to think
because
of something fast.
out of control. Like, I don't
Man,
even know what I'm getting my
I don't know,
dad.
but it's
Like,
so hard to get them gifts sometimes because I'm like, what do you want? Like, I wish that he had a hobby. That is always what I say whenever it's time for me to get my parents like a gift is like, I wish you had a hobby and I could just like always get you something to support that hobby, but like they don't. So I'm like, what do you want? Like what what do you like to do? I don't
mm-hmm.
know. That is always what I come back to. But I'll figure something out. I will I'll figure it out. But yeah, Father's Day is coming up and I will not be in America. I'll be traveling. So that's why I forgot. I was before this call I was trying on my outfit for the concert.
Ooh.
Yeah, didn't go as I suspected. I tried to. It's fine. We flipped it and we reversed it as I typically do. But yeah, that's where my mind was at. But thank you for bringing me back to reality and reminding me that I need to be a great daughter and get a gift for my father instead of buying outfits for myself. That's so selfish. So thank you for that. Are we ready to chat about our main topic for the day?
Yes, let's
Okay.
talk about it.
Okay, so I actually don't remember if we talked about this when we were recording or after we were recording. I remember at the end of our last conversation we were talking about like, you know, me jotting down all the times that I get anxious and upset, which honestly it's like whenever you need something to happen, it doesn't happen. So like this entire time, like I've just been like, I'm like, I think I'm okay now. Which I'm like, that is not whatever. That's fine. And we were talking about AI and stuff like that. And then we started talking about books, Aileen and I. And Aileen recommended that I read The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scoville. I think that's how you say the
Mm-hmm.
name. Shin. Okay.
Yes.
So I I listened to the audiobook and I feel like that's exactly the same thing. So let's talk about it. So first of all, when did you read this, Aileen? What how did this even come into your awareness, this book?
It was recommended to me actually.
Hmm.
So actually few other ones I'm still trying to read. So I've only read that one and like a partial of another one,
Mm-hmm.
but you can find some of them still on Spotify. So I got to the book that's the complete works of Florence Scovel Shinn, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
three of her books. I like them because they're short, so it's like three in one book. I've only gotten through one and half of another one because your girl doesn't always have time to read.
I feel that.
And so it was recommended, but then going through there, I think it's very important to understand how certain things in life work. And I think it at first I read the book and I also listened to it on Spotify.
I was gonna ask you that. I was like, so when you say you read the book, do you mean you read the book or do you mean you listened to the audiobook? Because I do feel like I mean, essentially you get the same information, but I just wanted to know like what's your version of like reading the book.
I'll tell you, first I listened to the audiobook
Okay.
and it was like during a flight, like I had downloaded it and I was listening to it. So I I'm an auditory learner, so like I have to hear it to like make it sink in.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized like on the like listening to it, like she was saying certain things for the person on the audiobook that was reading it, was saying certain like phrases and things that I wanted to remember. And it's like when you're listening to an audiobook, like you're either gonna sit there and write it down, or to me, I was like, oh, I can reread it, get a full understanding, and highlight the things I want to remember, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the reason why I got the book. And so I was reading it, and I think when I read it, I learned more
Hmm.
than when I just listened to it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But what did you think?
I understand why you recommended the book to me. I really do. Like I was listening to it because I mean, before we were talking about like, my negative thoughts and stuff like that, or the
Mhm.
negative thoughts that I was having. Let me not claim those negative thoughts as my own. Because I've read the book now and I'm very conscious of my words. But I understand why you're like, Jade, go ahead and like read this and see what you get from it and like let's talk about it. So I think the one thing that stuck with me the most, like even, and I think this was very early in the book, was your fear is just like a lack of faith. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. And so I think most of my negative thoughts are fear based. And most of them are revolved around like sickness and like or like disease and stuff like that. And I'm like, why? Like it is so weird to me because my family is so healthy. Like there's no like, diseases that run in our family. So I'm like, where did you get this thought from? That it's like actually absurd. And also like the way that I live my life, it's very conscious. It's very health conscious. So I'm like, Jade, you're literally like so healthy. So what's going on? Like, why is this the one thought that like always circles back? And I think hearing that, um, it was just kind of like, okay, just replace like your fear with faith. And I was like, okay, I can do that because I truly have faith that I'm super healthy. Like I know it in my whole heart that like I'm healthy. So let's replace that. And I was like, okay. It was also interesting. Another point. So that was one of my favorite ones. Like that was the one that stuck with me first. I was like, okay, anytime I'm like fearful, I'll just replace it with like faith. And everyone has a different faith. Like I don't, it depends on what you believe in. But for me, I tend to mix spirituality with religion a lot. And so like I like interchange it because I just believe in a higher power. And I don't think that necessarily it has to have a name. So that's why I like interchange a lot. And so the other thing that I found super interesting, and I've heard this so many times before, is that like most sicknesses like start like from like your thoughts, right? And so
Mhm.
and that has also been a very that's what scares me, right? Is because like I'm like, okay, if I have this thought in my head constantly going, being fearful about disease, I'm terrified that I'm like thinking about it. And like if it, like if it starts in your head, I'm like, oh my god, like stop thinking about that. And that is, and then you pay attention to like, okay, you need to stop thinking about that, and then you start thinking about it even more, and you're like, no, 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 that's like the opposite effect. I don't want that. And
Mhm.
so I've definitely heard that before, where they're like, okay, whatever. I've heard this in a couple of different ways. Most recently I heard this when I was talking to the lady that I met in Bali, which was like, sometimes you don't want things to happen or you want something to stop, but like the way that you say it, it manifests in your body. So an example that she gave to me was like there was this man that she met, and he was married to a lady, and he was just like, she just talks so much, like I just wish like I didn't have to hear her talking so much, right? And eventually he lost his hearing. And so it was kind of like that, where it's like, all right, well, like you were trying to get this thing to stop, and you like manifested like hearing loss. So that's, I found that to be very interesting. In the book they gave an example of, oh my god, I forgot the example that they gave. I feel terrible. And I just listened to it like an hour ago. That just goes to show. Um what was it? No, I lost it. I'm sorry. I don't have another example. But I feel like the one that I gave was pretty good. And the book was along the same line. So those I think were my two favorite ones. And then I also, Aileen, like when I was listening to this part, I was like, this is so Aileen. Like this is so Aileen.
What
When they
part?
no, they were talking about basically like where you put your thoughts. I don't know how to say it like the way that the book said it. The book said it very like, thoughtfully and stuff, but like where you put your thoughts is like how things will pretty much go. And so the example that they gave is like, if you are always fearful of being poor, you're going to be poor. But if you're like, you know what, I got it. Like, the money is going to come to me. I spend it like I got it all the time. It'll come to you. Like it's really not a big deal. And the lady was saying about how the one example that she gave was about this lady that was being sued for I think $3,000 or something, or she needed $3,000, something along the
Yes.
lines. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so the lady was talking to the person that wrote the book and was like, I really need to come up on $3,000 like ASAP, like real fucking quick. And the book, what's her name? Florence. That's her name. Let me stop saying
Mhm.
the lady. Florence was basically like, I will pray for you, to get the $3,000 in like the best way that works with like your destiny in a divine way. And
Mhm.
um the lady ended up like running into her cousin or her uncle or something the day that she needed the money, and the guy, or it was the day before she needed the money, and the cousin was like, oh, I can run you the money, at the end of the month or whatever. And the lady was like, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. Kind of need it by tomorrow though, but didn't say anything. She was like, cool, 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 that's fine. And then the next day the guy called and was like, come to my office and come get the money. And the lady had the money by the time that she needed it at all times. And I was like, that is so Aileen with her little like, oh, I'm just gonna break my lease and everything's gonna be fine. I'm not gonna have to pay to break the lease. It's gonna be totally fine. And I was like,
Mhm.
Aileen wasn't worried about like, oh, where am I gonna get this money from? She was like, it'll be covered. I don't know who's gonna cover it. It's not me, but um it'll get covered. And I was like, damn, that shit really
Mhm.
works. It really does. It really does. Cause I will tell you, all these vacations that I've had planned, I was so like, I'm going on these vacations regardless. Like that was the attitude that I had. Like I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. But I'm going. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm gonna go on this vacation, and I don't know, no one's gonna stop me. And like, it just, I had it. Like it was fine. I was worried about it for a second. I was like, no, like every time I'm worried about it, like I have it. So it's fine. Like there's no need to worry about it. And once I let that go, because for a second there I was stressed, and I was like, you're stressing yourself out. It's gonna happen regardless. Like you're going. There's no need to
Mhm.
talk yourself out of it. And everything was fine. Like I ended up getting my tax refund from like 2021. Like they never gave me my tax refund. And it was like 700, like an extra $700. And I was like, well, that's nice. So like shit like that, where I was just like, I got it. And it just came. And I was like, wow, damn, that's crazy. And that happened like, for Bali. Like when I got back from Bali, I was like, damn,
I told you.
how's this gonna work for Amsterdam? And then literally I was like, hey, spirit guides, God, is me, your girl. Can you
Mhm.
just send me, just like, some cute, just like a lump sum? Thank you. The next morning I woke up and like mail. And mind you, I wasn't supposed to get this tax refund. They said something like fucking 25 weeks or something. I was like, what kind of mail carrier do you have where it takes a check to 25 weeks? Is it coming by like camels? Like, where are you? I don't understand. So, yeah, the book, I was like, this is literally everything Aileen tells me. Like, everything Aileen tells me is right here in the book. There's really, oh, another thing. I'm sorry, I'm just giving you all of the points that I like remember at this point. Um,
It's all good,
was
girl.
was that, and I've it's crazy because I've heard these things before, but it's just like it kind of like solidifies it a little bit more, and it's nice to like be just reminded. And I think every time that I'm reminded, it sticks with me a little bit more. But like the idea that there's like good and bad, or like there's like evil in the world and stuff like that,
Mhm.
it doesn't really exists, right? And so if you like all of that is kind of like created by humans in their mind, but it's like it's not really that. It things are things just are. They're not good, they're not bad, they just are. And you as a person create like this idea that something is bad, and you giving that power to something, it's just not, it's not really real. Like things don't work out, sure, or things go a different direction than what you thought they would, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad. It just wasn't your destiny for it to go that way, right? Or
Mhm.
like things were supposed to happen this way. And so that was also something that I was reminded of when I was listening to the book. So those are
Yeah.
my, how many was that? That was 4? That was a lot.
It was good. I'm glad you picked up on all of that stuff. I think that's one of the biggest things, right? Is I think in our lives, we have an expectation for ourselves on how we're going to do things, when are we going to get there,
Mhm.
right? And I really think it'll just all happen when the timing is right. And we really can't control that, right?
Yes, but one thing that was in the book that I really also was like, yeah, that's true, is like you visualizing it and like being in a space to receive what you've asked for, I think is beautiful.
Mhm.
Like it, I think they gave like an example. This girl was looking for an apartment, and it was during a time where there were no apartments in like New York City. And the girl was like, I'm gonna get this apartment. It's coming to me, like I don't know, like I'm gonna get this apartment right when I need it. It's also, it's right when you need it, like, but it right when
Mhm.
you need it might not be when you actually need it. I don't know if that makes sense, but like there's
Yeah.
divine timing of like when you want it, that might not necessarily be when you need it, if that makes sense. Like they're
Oh,
different.
100%. It's
Yes.
when you need it, it will definitely come into your life, but not
Hmm.
when you just like, "Oh, hey."
Yeah, like, oh, this time, like, so there's a difference. So I'm glad that, yes, we agree on that. Like, there's definitely a difference. But she basically was just preparing herself to get what she asked for. And I thought that was really great too, because I feel like I do that now, where it's like, okay, I need to prepare to leave America. So, like, everything that I'm like, okay, well, how is this going to affect me when I leave America? Or like, is this going to benefit me when I leave America? So like, I'm like kind of like making the steps versus there was an example where this guy, he wanted to get out of debt, and he was like trying to, manifest being out of debt. But what he was practicing was what he was going to tell the person when he didn't have enough money. So it was just kind of like, okay, where you didn't believe in it. You have to like prepare yourself to receive what you ask for, not prepare yourself for not getting it. That's not how that works. So I also
Mhm.
thought that was a great one. So I'm like, okay, I just keep on. And you know what? This goes back to, oh, you're not on TikTok, but this is the delusional era that everyone's in right now, where it's just like, you just got to move like you got it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Be delusional. Yeah.
It happens, you know? I feel like sometimes we just need to let go and not worry so much, right? And just have faith like, "Hey, this is gonna in the right timing, when
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to happen, it will happen." Right? And I think a lot of us, like you mentioned earlier, hang on and get so worked up on like these things and then it happens to us and we get mad, right? Like part of the book, there's a section that this lady is like, "Oh, I have so many things. I wish I could live in a shoebox or something like that," right?
Yeah.
And she had like a nice home and all this stuff, but she kept saying that. And then
Mm-hmm.
it turns out that she lost everything and that's what she did, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's another important aspect of the book is sometimes we like to talk down upon what we have because we don't want to seem like show offy or anything like that. And we'll make jokes and stuff, right? And it I think it's like a defense mechanism, right? So like if you come over and you're like, "Oh, hey, Lean, like your house is like beautiful, blah 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 blah," right? I'd be like, "Oh, Jade, like, it's like to say stuff like, "Oh, it might be nice, but it's so hard to clean and blah 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 blah," right?
Yeah.
And we like try and say that instead of just saying, "Oh, thank you," or whatever it may be, right? Like that lady, she's like, "Oh, but my house is too big and nice. I wish I lived in a shoebox," right? And so they say stuff like this, and then that's when we get to a point where like, it's not the best because then we're wishing for something else. And when that happens, like you're putting out there like, "Hey, this is what I want," when it might not be what you want, but you're saying
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You know what was a good example I remember from the book is that like this lady was like like when she was younger, she would always pretend that she was a widow. And
Yes.
that one was like I've never seen a child pretend that they're a widow, but I was like, that is very specific. Okay. She would always
Mhm.
pretend that she's a widow. And like then as an adult, she got married, found like the love of her life, he died. And she became the widow that she was always pretending to be. So it's like, okay, you kind of have to pretend to be what you want to be. Don't pretend to be something that you don't want to be. That is, I think it's the subconscious mind. I think that's what she
Yep.
said. Whereas, like, you
Mhm.
deeply ingrain these things, like, you say these things and your mind believes it and makes it come true. And that is crazy. And then another thing, because you were kind of speaking on like the words that you're saying, I remember there was there was a couple about houses, but there was one lady that wanted this house really bad that like her friend had, I think. And she was like, "Oh my God,
Mhm.
I really want that house. Like, that's my house." Da, da, da. Right? This man died and she got the house. And she was just like, "Do you think that I'm the reason why like he died?" And the lady, when I was Aileen, I was sitting under a tree when I was listening to this part of the story, and because I'm tuned in, I'm like, what? She's gonna say no because that's so rude to say yes. Like, do you know how I would feel if? Do you know how bad I would feel if someone was like, "You're the reason why"? And so I was like, obviously she's gonna say no, that she's not the reason why the guy died. And so she's like, "Yeah, you're the reason why he died." I said, "Damn, that's crazy." She was like,
Mhm.
"You could have asked for a house just like that, that was within like your path, but like you asked for that specific house and you got
Yeah.
it. And that's how that affected like by any means you got the house, but you like the way that you worded it should have been like my house will come to me that makes me feel like this house, that is as big as this house, that it, you know what I'm saying, that is as nice
Yeah,
as this
yeah.
house, but not this specific house." And she was like, "You are the reason why he died, but I mean, the world got its look back because your husband died too. That's like, you killed someone, you got someone taken from you. So that is, I mean, the house is just at this point, I think she said the white elephant, like that's your prize, but like, yeah, you killed that man." I said, "Ooh." So that made me be way more aware of my words because I was like, I don't ever want to have to sit there and be like, am I the reason why that
Right.
happened? So now I'm more aware of like, okay, I would like something that makes me feel like this, something of the essence, but that is actually made for me or that's
Yeah.
on my path. And I was
And I
like,
think that's so important, right?
mm-hmm,
Is That's a great example is a lot of us like I think we can say something like, "Oh, I have a beautiful house like that one or like the White House on the corner with all this stuff or better, whatever is like meant for me or whatever is in my divine right, right?"
yeah,
So we shouldn't say, "Hey, I want the house on 12345 Silver Grove Avenue or something," right? It's, "Oh, I want a house like that if it's that one or better, whatever is best suited for me." And I think it goes for like people as well. Cause I think some people are like, "Oh, I want to marry that man or whatever," right?
mm-hmm,
He might not be the best for you, right?
yeah,
So it might be, "Hey, I want someone that has all of these qualities that this person has that I like." And in the book, there's a person that she talks about, And she said that she loved this guy. I forgot. I think it was like her coworker or something, wasn't it? I forget the name she uses, but she uses some guy's name in this girl. Let's call her Sally and Bob. So Sally goes to her and says like, "Hey, I want to marry Bob. Like, I want to date him. I want to be with him. I love these qualities, blah 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 blah." Right? And so she gives the advice like, "Hey, you shouldn't say it's an exact person because maybe you love these qualities, but there's someone better out there for you, right?" So she says, "You need to ask like, say I want someone with that's tall and is kind and is willing to listen to me and blah blah blah, whatever you want, right?" And then you need to say or whoever is better or suited for me or whatever, right? And I think in the book she talks about like she really likes this guy. They start spending time together and having like lunch and stuff. And then all of a sudden like he starts annoying her. Like different qualities that she doesn't like, right?
Mhm.
And she's like, "Man, I thought it was this guy, blah 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 blah." And but it's like he's annoying, right? But she was so set like this is the guy I want. He's perfect. And then like this other guy comes into her life and yeah, he doesn't look like the other guy, but he has all the qualities and she falls in love with the other guy, right? So I think it's so important to say I want this or better, right?
Yes, you're right. And I need to update my my little vision board because this has happened to me. Okay. And I knew when I did it, I was risking it. I was like, I know I shouldn't put in an exact person, but I wanted that person. And the same thing happened. And I was like, uh, first of all, never even met this man. You delusional, delusional. He lives across the pond. I was like, I want this one. This is the one for me. And yeah, I kept on like kept on just, this is the one, this is the one, this is the one. And I was like, you know what? First of all, he posted his girlfriend. And I was like, oh, that's your girl? That's crazy. Unfollowed him like Peppa Pig, hung up the phone. I said, nope, unfollowed. But for some reason, he still shows up on my feed on TikTok. And now he gets on my nerves because I'm like, can you stop? Like, you're like annoying me. Like, you're getting on my nerves. So I think I need to update my vision board. And this just goes to show you, you cannot like specifically manifest a specific person. Like, don't do that. And I knew when I did it, I was wrong, but I was like, fuck it, we ball. And yeah, you can't be doing that.
Mhm.
You can't. You
No,
can't.
because then,
Yeah.
and so I think that's like the important thing is think about it because sometimes, like it just doesn't work out so great.
Yeah. I've learned.
And,
I've learned for
you
sure.
know, so that's where I think that book, I highly recommend it. I think it really talks about how one is like a big thing is our language and what we speak happens, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of different things in that book where the way we think, right? Our self-talk, all that stuff. And there's just so many different aspects that you can learn from that book that I don't even remember. Like I think every time I read it or listen to it, I learn something new.
Yeah. I think so. I think it's one of those books that you could read it every time and like come back with a different message because even just listening to it today, like I think I got what I needed from the book when I listened to it, but that's what I specifically needed in that moment to hear. But I think like if
Mhm.
I came back to it, I think I would get something else. So I would, I do listen to audiobooks again. Like I was telling you, I was like, I've listened to I will re-listen to an audiobook. I think that's one of those books that I will re-listen to and come back to. Um, Probably honestly in a couple months. Like I'll give it a second and then just like circle back because it was good. And it wasn't that long. It was like 2 hours, I think, and 45 minutes. So I did like a walk around downtown today, and I was like, let me just like listen to the audiobook, and it was nice. I would say, give it a go. Thank you so much for recommending the book for me. That was a good one, Aileen. I'm open to your I don't like to I will say though, I'm just going to put this out there. I don't like to listen to too many like self-help books or like read too many self-help books. It's just like not I don't know, like I'm not that fucked up where I just like need to be self-helping all the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn.
I like them occasionally. So it's nothing that's like, oh, I hate this, right? But
Mhm.
I think there is some validity to this, and I think you can learn something new out of it. So that's where, and I feel like hers isn't too self-helpy.
It's not. It wasn't. It was just it was facts. It wasn't like this is what to do to get over like
Yeah,
your I don't know what I would need to get over. Your I don't know, but it was just kind of like this is the facts. Like, bro, these are the things that you're thinking. This is what actually happens. Like do with that what you will. So it wasn't too self-helpy, but yeah, I agree with you. It wasn't too self-helpy. I think
y-
it was a good balance for sure.
yeah, because the other ones that like, I think it's good, the ones that give you exercises and stuff, but I don't know if I have the patience for it, you know?
I've never, and I'm in therapy, so and she be giving me homework. So I feel like that balances it out. I self-help every 2 weeks. So it's good. It's Gucci.
Yeah,
And I will say like the advice that Tiana gives me all the time is great. So and like that counts. So I'm slowly, I'm doing my best. I'm trying
good.
to
That's all
be
you
a
can do.
great person for other people as well as myself. So yes.
Mhm.
All right. So, anything else? Any final words from Aileen before we wrap this episode up?
I just want to tell everyone to continue to learn and grow because that's really, I think we all have those rough times where we just want to pull out our hair, get angry or whatever. And it's really continue to kind of build your toolbox and how you handle things and continue to explore and learn. And like I had a whole conference this week and I learned new things and it was great. So go out there and explore.
Yes, I love it. Well, that about wraps things up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you have a good day or a good night, and we hope that you are well. Bye.
Bye.